Welcome back, Lionel Fanthorpe, our special guest tonight. Lionel, déjà vu, you've had that feeling, haven't you?
Certainly have, and I would guess if we took a poll of our listeners, somewhere between 90 and 95% have had something that falls into that déjà vu category.
Why doesn't it happen all the time? It doesn't happen to me all the time.
No, it's, I think, again, for most of us, although we would say, oh yes, I've had that experience, I have had that strange feeling on going to a different place that I've been there before, or sometimes when there's a sequence of events happening, you seem to know what is going to happen. It's as if you've been through that before. And one of the things is just a sort of perfectly natural part of our human functioning, that a great sportsman, shall say a great golfer or a great tennis player, will develop certain strokes, and it's what we call muscle memory, isn't it? That once you've rehearsed something and practiced it, it's like the actor on stage, that he or she practices the lines, rehearses, and then comes on stage, and you know very well that you've done it before, and it's because you've done it before that you can do it so well on the night with the audience filling the theatre. Now, there are two, I think, basic explanations for déjà vu. One is that it is a mental process of ours, or that there really is a fault in time, that there's some sort of little glitch in time. And you remember the old 78 Revolution records?
Oh, sure do.
You used to get little cracks.
I don't want to remember them too much, but I do remember them. You remember them more than I do.
Yeah, I do. I confess.
You're the senior member of this show right now.
Yeah, I think I was around when they had cylinders and you turned the handle on. But no,
I thought I had heard your voice on the other end when Marconi was turning on a radio.
Yeah, you could well have done. Yeah. I was the captain of the ship when we arrested Dr. Crippen with Marconi's invention. But the old 78s that we were laughing about, they would occasionally crack, and then you'd get the same piece. The needle would hit the edge of the crack and go back and play you the same piece again. And then you would very gently lift the sort of sound head with your finger, and it would get over the crack and play the rest of the record.
You didn't want to push it because you'd scratch it.
That's it. It was just a matter of just gently easing it out of the problem. So it's possible that time, whatever it is, as we were saying earlier, the mystery of the actual knowledge of the nature of time, it could be a substance, it could be, you know, whatever it is, the mysterious thing which is time, might be capable of having little cracks, glitches, and imperfections, so that when we're traveling through it, tell you what, another way of thinking of it might be, if you're coming down a river which has a swirling eddy current in it, and you're in your canoe, and you come to this eddy current, and it swirls you backwards, so that you've got to go over that stretch of river again. But this time, you get through on the other side of the swirling current and carry on down the river. But you will have passed that place twice, not through any fault of yours as a canoeist, but because of the function of the river. In other words, because of the function of time, we get thrown back and we go through the same time experience twice, or maybe even three times. And the other thought is that if we use the analogy of standing close to a solid wooden fence that has a small hole in it where there was a fault in the wood, if you put your eye close to that hole, you can see quite a lot of the scenery on the other side of the fence. But if you're standing a full yard back from the hole, all you can see is that one small area, which is no more than the size of the hole in the fence. Now, maybe that the déjà vu experience is when we have our eye, as it were, close up against time. Again, if we think of the hole in the fence as an instanton of time, as this moment now, which is always gone as soon as you say the word, but were really up close against it, we could see something that was what we would normally think of as the immediate past and something else which is the immediate future. And our perception is faulty because we're seeing something, instead of in just one instant, as when we're standing back from the fence, we're seeing time. We've expanded this moment. So we get the impression, because of expanding the moment, that the moment is happening more than once. One of the most amazing sort of déjà vu type experiences concerned a family named Turner. I was doing some lectures in Lowestoft, and I met the grandson of this family. And his grandmother, Mrs. Turner, was an American lady who had fallen in love with an English visitor. They decided to get married and to live in England. He had gone on a boat before her. She was on the next ship over. This was in the days of, the horse-drawn Victorian times. And when she came over, they went house hunting. They'd looked at several places, and then they came to, he was pretty wealthy, they came to a big old manor house with several acres of land. And as their little horse and trap turned in, she said to him, clutched his hand and said, "Darling, I've seen this place before. I know what we're going to see. Round the next corner, there's a summer house. Then there's a fountain. Then we'll see a statue, a marble statue. And then the porch has so many columns. And everything was as she said it was going to be before they got there." And they knocked the door. The butler comes to the door, and we know from all the Jeeves butler stories that they are usually, they're usually imperturbable, unflappable. But this guy stood there with his mouth open, his eyes open, staring at this American lady. Then he pulled himself together and said, "Madam, I do apologize. I didn't mean to stare at you. But you are the lady who haunts this house."
Oh, my.
And that would seem to have been explained because the Turners married, they lived there, they bought that house. They lived happily there for many, many years, brought up a family there. And what it seemed to be was that her astral body, she had dreamed of the place. And it was as if her astral body had traveled across the Atlantic to the house where she was one day going to be the very happy owner.
Isn't that a form of time travel?
Well, it makes you think it could be, and maybe time travel is something that the astral body does. But the déjà vu in her case was, I've been here before. Yes, but she'd been there before with her astral body rather than with her physical body, which was peacefully asleep in Ottawa or Texas or wherever.
And when you have cases of déjà vu, do you merely say to yourself, I've been here before, I know this scene? Or do you also say, let's assume you're talking to someone when it hits you, do you also say to yourself, I know what this person is going to say in about a minute? Does that happen to you?
It has happened once or twice. Usually, it's just the surroundings.
See, that happens to me a lot.
But you know what they're going to say. So you've actually, almost like when we were talking about rehearsing the play, it's as if you were the experienced actor who's now on stage, and because you've rehearsed that scene, you know what the other character is going to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it is just mind-boggling when it happens.
Yes, it is. And it's, again, how do we explain it? Is it a mental power of ours? Or one of the other thoughts that comes to me when we are delving into this is all of these worlds of if, as some of the science fiction writers like to call them, as the physicists call them as well, that if we make a decision at a particular moment, either to go out in the car or to go on the bus or to go on the train, that decision will affect our future. And so we might meet a friend on the train, and he and I would get together and discuss a collaboration on a piece of work. And then that work would happen, and it would be good. But if I'd gone in the car, I wouldn't have met the friend on the train. So that there are two different futures, one in which meet friend on train, collaborate on show, and the other one in which that doesn't happen and you do something different. Now, suppose that, as the physicists suggest, those two worlds both exist. It's just that our experiential consciousness is